So, you got a letter in the mail about a Strike 3 Holdings lawsuit. And I know that can be incredibly stressful. The whole point of this explainer is to just cut through all that noise, break down exactly what's happening, and lay out the clear, strategic options you actually have. Right, so this is probably what kicked everything off. You opened a letter from your internet provider, Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, someone like that, and it's talking about a subpoena for a lawsuit called Strike 3 Holdings versus John Doe. And let's be clear, right now you are John Doe. Okay, first things first. The single most important thing to get right now is this. Do not panic. Seriously, the court doesn't know your name. Strike 3 Holdings doesn't know your name yet. To them, you're just an IP address. You are anonymous, and that anonymity gives you a window of time to figure this out. You definitely have options. All right, so let's actually talk about that notice. What is this thing you've received? We need to break down who's behind it and what it really means for you. So who is Strike 3 Holdings? Well, they're a company that produces adult films for popular subscription sites like Blacked, Tushy, and Vixen. But they're also, by far, the most active company in the entire country when it comes to filing these federal lawsuits. They accuse John Doe defendants of illegally downloading and sharing their movies using services like BitTorrent. Now here's a really key detail you need to get. You are not being subpoenaed. Not yet, anyway. Strike 3 Holdings has subpoenaed your internet service provider. See, they've tracked an IP address, they know it belongs to, say, Verizon, and now they are legally demanding that Verizon give them your name and address. By law, your provider has to tell you they're about to do that. And that, my friend, means the clock is officially ticking. These cases aren't random. They follow a very, very predictable pattern. A specific playbook, really. And if you understand this process, you're in a much better position to make a smart decision. So here's how it plays out. In 4 clear stages. Step 1, that's already happened. Your ISP got the subpoena. Now, if you do nothing, step 2 is basically guaranteed. Your ISP hands over your name. That takes us to step 3, where the ball is in Strike 3's court. Their lawyers look at your case and decide, do we sue this person directly or just drop it? Which leads to the final step, number 4. You either get served with a court summons with your actual name on it, or the case gets dismissed. And all of that brings us to the big question. What do you do now? You're at a crossroads, but you are not helpless here. You've got 3 main paths you can take, and each one comes with its own set of risks and rewards. Okay, option 1 is to settle the case anonymously. This is your best shot at keeping your name out of it and just making the whole thing go away quickly. But it does mean a settlement payment. Option 2 is filing a motion to quash. That's a legal move where you ask the judge to throw out the subpoena. It's risky because if the judge says no, you lose your anonymity. Then there's option 3. You can fight it in court. This is for people who are prepared to go all the way and challenge the evidence. But it means your name becomes public, and it could be the most expensive option if you lose. So when we talk about settling, what kind of money are we actually looking at? Well, an experienced attorney who does this all the time can often negotiate settlements that average out to somewhere between $100 and $500 per movie title they've listed in the lawsuit. Of course, the final amount really depends on the specifics of your situation. And really, when you boil it all down, this is the heart of the matter. Every single choice, settling, fighting, even ignoring it, and just hoping it goes away, it all carries a different level of risk. The right choice for you depends entirely on your personal comfort level with that uncertainty. Now, before you make any moves, we have to talk about the bad advice that you are going to see floating around online. You'll find it on Reddit, you'll find it on forums. So let's just debunk a couple of the biggest myths right now. Okay, this one is everywhere. You'll see people saying with total confidence, just ignore them, don't settle. They'll get tired and just drop the case and move on to someone else. Yeah, here's the reality check on that one. In the eyes of the court, refusing to engage is the exact same thing as ignoring the case. And if you get served with a summons down the line and you still ignore it, you are risking what's called a default judgment. That's where the court can rule against you for a huge amount of money simply because you never showed up to defend yourself. All right, here's another piece of bad advice that pushes people to do nothing. The thinking goes, if you reach out to try and settle, you're basically raising your hand and admitting you did something, which will just make them come after you harder. This is just a complete misunderstanding of how this works. The target is already on you. They have your IP address. That's how this all started. If you just wait, they are going to get your name anyway. Being proactive, having an attorney reach out for you, isn't putting a target on your head. It's about controlling the outcome, keeping you anonymous, and very often negotiating a lower settlement. Look, this isn't like getting a speeding ticket. This is a very specific, kind of weird niche of federal copyright law, and trying to navigate it on your own or with the wrong kind of help is a bad idea. It requires a very specific kind of experience. Here's a great way to think about it, and it really makes the point. Would you hire a personal injury lawyer to handle your divorce? No, of course not. That would be crazy. Well, the exact same logic applies here. This is a highly specialized legal field, and you want someone who knows the game, who knows the players, and understands the very specific tactics used in these lawsuits. So what does that expertise actually get you? Well, they know Strike Three's playbook inside and out. They know how to negotiate effectively based on the details of your case. And because these are federal cases, a specialized attorney can represent you no matter what state you live in. And this is huge. They make sure that if you do settle, the agreement includes a complete release, which protects you from ever being sued by them again for anything from the past. And that brings us right back to the central question. You get the notice now. You understand the process, you know the myths to avoid, and you see your strategic options. You have the information. So the decision you make from here, it's not really about guilt or innocence. It's a strategic calculation. And it all comes down to this one simple thing. What is your personal tolerance for risk? Just so you know, the information we've gone through in this explainer is based on source materials from Antonelli Law. They're a firm that really concentrates on this specific area of law, BitTorrent copyright defense. If you want to talk about the specifics of your case, they offer a free and confidential consultation. You can reach them at the number on your screen, 312-201-8310.